Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today titled How to Leverage Corporate Social Responsibility to Increase Sales and Customer Loyalty. I'm joined today by my colleague, Mariam Paez, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Sparo. And together, we're going to address a fundamental question that is on the minds of a lot of people, including those of you who may be on this webinar, which is, what if you could truly leverage the power of cause marketing to deliver higher online sales for your business? That's the key question we're going to cover today. And so what we're going to do, Mariam and I, is go over some of the trends that we see in online e-commerce, online giving, how these trends have helped increase revenues for merchants, what we at Sparo have learned from our interactions, and then open it up to your questions at the end of the webinar. The market for e-commerce, the ecosystem that we're looking at, is 440 billion by 2017. So we're talking about a very big market. However, e-commerce, as you all know, is not just confined to the US market. We're looking at a global market currently at $1.6 trillion. And so this is the ecosystem, this is the market opportunity in which you, the merchants, can benefit from when you marry e-commerce and online giving. The trajectory of online giving, as you can see from the graph below and the next slide, is very, very interesting. You see an upward trajectory. This desire for online giving, it crosses across generations. It is basically Generation X. As you can see from the slide, you have boomers, people who are slightly older than that, millennials, the 74 million millennials. And so what we're seeing is across the board, people like the idea of online giving. What I'd like to do now is hand it over to Mariam to go over some of the statistics that we've learned from our experience.
Thank you, Rob. So if we look at U.S. consumer behavior around online giving, what we have seen, given similar price and quality, most U.S. consumers say that they would switch brands to ones that's associated with a cause. 90% of them say that they would buy a product with a social or environmental benefit. 72% say they would voice their opinion or give feedback about a company's corporate social responsibility efforts. Furthermore, 80% would tell their friends and family about a company's cause marketing efforts. In terms of actual buying behavior, 71% of consumers have in the past donated to a charity while shopping. This trend we've noticed predominantly in supermarkets and in pharmacies. Amongst the segments of buyers, what we looked at were all the different segments. We see millennials are mostly engaged with companies that are engaged in cause marketing. Actually, 6 out of 10 millennials say that they want to have a sense of purpose and a reason for choosing to work with an employer that has a cause or has a cause marketing platform. There are currently in the US 74 million millennials. So from a merchant's perspective, they're not only attractive as shoppers, but also as an employee retention tool. Now, in 2014, Sparo did a survey with over 1,000 respondents, where we asked questions around corporate social responsibility platforms and programs. And what we found out was that 90% of consumers would like retailers a lot more if they had a corporate social responsibility program. This helps them differentiate their brand, improve their brand equity and awareness. Furthermore, 77% of these shoppers are more likely to convert if the retailer gave back. This is a very important metric, as we know conversion rates and abandonment rates are closely monitored and are metrics that we all look at in finalizing the sale. We also looked at barriers to giving back and donating, and this comes to no surprise, but shoppers say that budget is the main barrier for them not wanting to give back more. And this helped us form the concept of Sparo, as we have in our model removed this barrier for shoppers. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, in terms of different programs and what differentiates them, we looked at the breadth of variables. We looked at if a program has different types of charities, if it's easy to give back, if we're providing a choice to the buyer to select a charity. And what we found out with our respondents is the ability to choose a charity of choice is the most important. For the top two segments that we interviewed, choice was what was most important. They don't want the merchant to choose the charity for them. They want to be empowered to be able to choose the cause they care about. Often this cause is a local cause, in their neighborhood, or a cause they care mostly about. So overall, the benefits for your company as a merchant, primarily, it raises the brand awareness and differentiates amongst your competitors. All else being equal, in the shopping cart, it can drive higher sales. So if you have similar product and service and shipping and benefits, the corporate social responsibility program can finalize it, help you convert that decision into a purchase. In terms of what we saw, employees, it is an employee retention tool, specifically amongst millennials. And if we look at as a lead management tool, with the merchants that we have worked at, we've been able to attract new customers and shoppers through our charity network and bring new shoppers to merchants that have not been able to draw the same audiences and targets. And finally, it can be a big competitive differentiator for your brand. Now, there are different types of campaigns out there around cause marketing, and I'll quickly go through these. The transactional model is what Sparo's model is about, and it's really around having the donation in the purchase process. Few companies do this, and I can go deeper into this in a bit. But most of the models around there are digital, events-based. So it involves a specific cause around, for example, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This can be done in the form of social media, the companies' programs, or actual events. And larger companies have corporate sponsorships where they partner with a large nonprofit in exchange for a licensing fee in order to use that brand. Now, I want to hand it over to Rob to dig deeper into the Sparo model, the Sparo transactional model, and how our business model works.
Thank you, Miriam. So what we're taking is the universe of cause marketing, the data that was collected, and then we said, okay, let's see if we really can show results when we marry e-commerce and charity. And sure enough, the results that we've seen are very, very encouraging. Merchants that participate in the Sparo program saw an increase in their sales. We've seen shoppers who've never seen the Sparo app actually click and engage at a rate of 24%. What we've also seen is shoppers now new shoppers coming to our merchant partners. And by leveraging our charity partners, we are able to bring 12 million donors to our merchants. Now, the way the Sparo app actually works, it's very simple. You're a shopper, you go to Citron Clothing, customer of ours in Santa Monica, California. You go to their shopping cart. Oh, Citron's going to donate 10% at no cost. And you click on the Maryland Food Bank, if you live in Maryland like I do, and you're off and running. What I'd like to point out here is this model that we've created is so seamless, and you're always in the cart, you don't get out, that as a result, we've got 4 patents issued to us by the patent office, all this seamless way in which you marry e-commerce and charity. And in a way to demonstrate this, I'd like to present to you a minute video right now. So take a look.
Here's how the Sparo application works on a merchant site. Select the item you want to purchase. In the shopping cart, look for the charity you want the merchant to donate to. You can search by name, zip code, and location. Select the charity. Proceed to checkout. It's simple. Your donation will be submitted to the charity of your choice after your order was confirmed. Purchase with a purpose.
So as you saw from this minute video clip, this model has indeed proven results. So since we launched with Citron, for example, which is a small merchant, that their sales went up by 49%. Their number of shoppers increased by 26%. But we wanted to also test this model with a big merchant. And so what we did was we engaged with Staples in a pilot. I'd like to emphasize it was a pilot. And in a span of just a few days, 24 days, we saw a 22% engagement with the Sparo app. Sales were generated to the tune of over 2 million. Over $50,000 in donations were raised. And again, this was only with 20% of the traffic being driven by Staples to the Sparo program. What I'd like to also show to you is the difference between what you just saw with Citron and the experience that we had with our pilot with Staples. In the case of Staples, the experience was using a flyover. We would, based on the recommendations that we've gotten from our charity partners, this probably was not the most optimum experience, but nonetheless, it is an experience that you can have. So there's the Citron model and the Staples model. What I'd like to also focus on is our charity partners. As you can see from the slide, we have over 100 charity partners, some of them the big names that you may recognize like Special Olympics, but then some smaller ones like Save a Child's Heart. What we do is we, Sparo, basically vet every charity through Charity Navigator, and in some instances actually with the IRS, to make sure that these are nonprofits in good standing. And we basically leverage this 12 million donor base to the benefit of our merchant partners. We're currently working with a number of merchants. With Staples, I'd like to emphasize again, it was a pilot, but what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Miriam so she can walk you through the competitive landscape.
Thanks, Rob. So in terms of different models out there, as we mentioned, Sparo is a transactional model. Our closest competitor is Amazon Smile, which you may be aware of, but it is an Amazon proprietary platform that only resides on Amazon.com. Amazon Smile is slightly different from Sparo in a sense that you need to be an Amazon shopper. You need to register through the Amazon Smile program. And upon registration, the shopper has to select one charity for all the donations to go to. So in terms of flexibility, the application does not allow, like Sparo, to select different causes for different purchases, and it does require a registration. There are also other competitors out there, other plans out there that are slightly different in terms of the model. iGive and Plan G, for example, require the shopper to download a widget, an app to sit on the desktop, and that enables the donation. So we don't believe that is that it's an optimal experience for the shopper. And PayPal also has a donate a program, but this is really only employed for nonprofits for fundraising. Now, I would like to leave you with a couple quotes from our partners. So we started working with Citron in 2014, and only after a few months, we were able to drive sales to the tune of 50%. And really, this was attributed to the number of donors or new shoppers that we were able to bring to them from our charity partners. Citron is a fairly small to medium-sized merchant, and they're Santa Monica based. But we were able to bring shoppers from all different geographies and locations that they were not able to target before, just through the partnerships with the nonprofit. We also work with many nonprofits. Save a Child's Heart is one of our first partners that we've worked with. And they've worked with Amazon too, and the feedback we get from them is Sparo is very unique and very turnkey for them. They're in the business of saving children's hearts, and we've been able to really have an impact for them by raising thousands of dollars for an organization like that. Now, I want to pass it over to Rob to talk about our business model.
Thank you, Miriam. So the Sparo business model is very, very simple. In the case that you're looking at currently, you've got basically shopper buys $100 worth of goods. The merchant in this case has decided to give 5% to charity. So $5 goes to the charity selected by the shopper. Sparo collects a 2% fee per transaction, but only on completed transactions. In other words, we do not collect this fee if we do not create a sale for our merchant partners. The $2 and the $5, the $7, is a tax deduction. It's a business expense that the merchant can deduct from their year-end taxes. Again, the model is a win-win, win for the merchant so that it doesn't affect the gross margin, but not only that, but bring incremental sales. The charity wins because they're getting basically micro donations. And of course, the shopper wins by being able to select the charity of their choice. Now, the Sparo app, I must say, in terms of a business model, is agnostic. We can be on any back end, whether it's Magento or OS Commerce or Volution. So what I'd like to do is basically invite you to test trial for free the Sparo app for 30 days. I'd like to emphasize that there is no cost to becoming a Sparo member. In other words, the integration does not cost the merchant. The only fee that Sparo collects is the transaction fee, 2%, only if we are successful. And so we'd like to offer those of you who are participating today a 30-day free trial. What I'd like to leave you is with a thought. Today we've talked about how cause marketing can increase online sales. And what I'd like to do today is leave you with the thought that yes, you can become a Sparo merchant, see your sales increase, capture more market share, but at the same time, you can literally save a child's heart. You can literally save a family that's facing hunger and starvation. And that's the beauty, and that's the reason why we've created Sparo, purchase with a purpose. I'd like to thank you very much, and I'd like to now open up to any questions that you may have. I see a question concerning the security issue. Basically, Sparo does not collect any credit card information. The only information we're collecting on the back end is a merchant ID, the total sales figure, the donation amount, and the charity that was selected.
I see a question coming in. How much of the donation goes to charity versus Sparo? Um, I can answer that. I mean, in terms of the fee breakdown, what Robin mentioned, there's a 2% flat fee for Sparrow. The rest, the donation that the merchants select, 100% of that goes to the charity. So Sparrow does not take any percentage of the donation. That is 100%. Whether you choose 5% or 10%, that goes straight to the charity.
There's also another question about, can a merchant select the charities that it wants? Absolutely. One of the fundamental reasons why we created Sparrow, and what Miriam mentioned earlier, the differentiating between us and Amazon Smile, is that any merchant can decide what charities they want to work with. So, for example, in the case of Citron, the CEO suggested including nonprofits that have research on childhood diabetes. So absolutely, we can tailor make the Sparo app to fit the charities that our merchant partners like and want to select.
We have a question. What web platforms does Sparrow integrate with? Um, for most sites, Sparrow provides a script that the merchant can insert in their shopping cart, and we can work with any platform. We also have a plug-and-play solution for Magento, and we also have a Volution solution. So we can pretty much work with any e-commerce platform and integrate within.
We have another question. Will Sparrow get a 2% fee if the customer shops but does not click? No. Again, the Sparrow fee only kicks in if we are able to complete a sale for you and someone clicks on the charity button. So no, we do not collect a fee if the merchant does not select the Sparo app.
We have a question. Does the donation come out of the cost of the product? Um, the, don- the donation is really discussed with merchant on a case-by-case basis. So some merchants decide, based on their margins, that they're willing to uh, give a higher percentage versus others. It really depends on the cost structure of each merchant, and and the merchant determines what that donation percentage can be. We can go as low as the merchant wants. We recommend certain amounts just because we feel that it's more effective when there is a 5% donation as a minimum. But we can work with any merchant based on their needs and their cost structure to determine what that donation is.
We also have a question on how long does it take to integrate the Sparo app. Again, one of the functions and one of the reasons why we were awarded a patent by the US Patent Office, not one but four, is because integration is very easy, very simple. It literally can take a day. And as Maria mentioned earlier, we actually have a plug and play for those of you who are Magento customers. And at a later time, you can let us know if you'd like to see a demo of that, and we'll be happy to do that for you. So integration is very simple. It literally can happen within a day. We recommend that maybe a few days of testing be done, but it's a very easy process for integration.
We have a question coming in. What experience you have had with university alumni donations? We register all the charities that are in the U.S., the 501(c)s, and if there are universities that fall in that category, we can register them. So we don't differentiate specifically on types of charities. We do run them through Charity Navigator when we can, and we do want to make sure that they're legitimate charities. But we don't have a specific category of university charities.
Miriam, there's a question on returns, which is a very good question. Some shoppers buy something, but then they return it. Do you want to take that question?
Sure, sure. So we don't charge a Sparrow fee on the return. What we for our billing cycle works on a 60-day basis. We work with the merchant to determine what their return policy is, and we will not disperse the charities until we have the accounted for those returns, and we will not charge the merchant for items that were returned.
There's a question on, does this work well for fashion retailers? Absolutely, 100%. In fact, one of the significant metrics that we've been able to pick up is that in the demographics of those who shop and give, those who are in some way or another buying something in the fashion ecosystem tend to love the Sparo app, use the Sparo app. And again, Citron Clothing is a very good example of that. They saw their sales increase by in some cases, 50% when they adopted Sparo. So for the fashion industry, I would recommend absolutely. It would be a very, very big plus.
We have a question. Is there a percent? Is there a way to round up to the nearest dollar instead of a percentage for the donation? We currently don't have that functionality, but that is something that we are working on, and I think it would be very attractive to also give the ability for the shopper to add to the donation too from their purchase. Uh, Right now, we have a percentage based donation, but that is not something that we won't develop in the future.
We have another question on how do we know if a customer, basically made a donation, and does it show on the receipt? This is a very good question. So the Sparo app is a live app. When a shopper donates, we actually capture that on the back end. And so we know that shopper X donated to Save a Child's Heart, that the donation led to a $5 donation to Save a Child's Heart, maybe in this case. And then when we send the checks to Save a Child's Heart, it goes on behalf of our merchant. So again, the idea is win-win. We are collecting the donations, we're sending it to the charities. It's a full service that we're providing at Sparo, but the merchant, our merchant partners, get the benefit because they are the ones that are actually making all this happen.
We have a question. If we have a charity we currently use, can we send them to you if they're interested in being added to your software? Absolutely. We love working with our merchants and including the charities that they care about. We will run them through our tests and make sure that they're vetted properly, but we will absolutely include them if that is something that you would like to have in your program.
There's also a question about, what do we do, Sparo, to help leverage our charities? Miriam, do you want to take that question?
Sure. So we have a base of 100 charities of over 12 million donors that they have, and we work very closely with them. We have one-on-one relationships with our charities, unlike Amazon that automatically opts in all the charities. And we work with our merchants around their sales and marketing cycles, and we work directly with the charities to drive their donors to their site. So, for example, with Citron, they've had a few promotions where that they've offered promotions directly to charity donors based out of the California area, and we were able to drive shoppers via this promotion to their site. That helped them increase, not only get new customers, but also incremental sales. So those are the types of things we do. We work very closely one-on-one with our merchants and with the charities in promotional items. We also work on social media. We do a lot of social media campaigns for them. We'd like to link the two together.
We have a question on the tax implications of the Sparo program. What we've recommended to our merchant partners is that when Sparo actually does the collection of the charity checks, sends it on your behalf to the charities. and the addition of the Sparo fee, the totality of that is beneficial to our merchant partners because they get to deduct this dollar for dollar. So in the case that we showed you, the $7, $2 being the Sparo fee and $5 being the charitable aspect, that $7 is a dollar for dollar deduction from your year-end taxes. And we have legal opinion and other opinion that we can share with you. But our recommendation is that you allow us to do it because you get the tax benefits of it. It's far greater for you.
I don't see any other questions coming. If we haven't answered your question, I think we will reach out to you directly after this call and make sure that we've answered all your questions.
There is a question concerning, can this work for a small business? By absolutely all means. It can work for, as we showed you, a small merchant in Santa Monica, California, like Citron Clothing, to a very massive merchant for which we did a pilot like Staples. Staples, as you know, is the third largest online retailer in the country. So yes, this can work for a small business. We can help your small business grow online, capture more market share. That's the whole idea. Sparo can work for big, small, medium merchants.
Okay. So I see some specific questions coming through for specifically related to your companies. And I think what we'll do is we'll reach out to you after this webinar and have a deeper discussion. But Rob and I, again, I want to reiterate, we are open to any questions that you have. These are our contact information and details. And please feel free to reach out to us either by email, by phone. And if you have anything else that you didn't think about now and comes up later, just reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer any specific question. And again, we'd love to work with you. Our transaction fee is waived for the first 30 days, and this will really allow you to test the product, see if it works for you. There's no setup fees at all. It's a win-win for all, and we really believe that our model works well. So we'd love to hear from you. And if there's no other, Rob?
Yeah, again, to reiterate Mariam's point, as you can see from the slide, our email addresses are there. Please feel free to send us your specific question. We'll answer them immediately. And again, want to leave you with the thought that you can become a Sparo member. You can see your bottom line affected positively, but equally important, if not more important, you can make a difference, and your company and your employees will be proud to have made that difference. I want to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. I'd like to thank Magento for allowing us to put this webinar together. Thank you very much. And we will be in touch with you shortly with any questions that you may have. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
We will also have the presentation available for you to download after this call. Thank you.